We all need gis, rash guards, and a bunch of gear to train jiu-jitsu. Here at Roll Academy, we've been using Fuji Sports for a very, very long time, but more importantly, they've been sponsoring the Roll Radio podcast for over a year at this point. Gary?
Yeah, I'm checking out the website right now. Anything you could possibly need, but the new stuff, this American Grappler stuff, is amazing. It's so slick looking. Rash guard shorts, really cool. Giant eagle on it. It is nice. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, they've got the Be a Menace Happy No-Gi lineup. So as you're getting choked out, you're looking up at the nice smiley face emoji. Anything you could possibly need, you can find at fujisports.com.
You have questions, I have answers. I started a brand new podcast just recently that's available on all podcast platforms and YouTube. It's called Ask a Black Belt. Very simple. You drop me questions, I answer them. Very simple, 5-6 minutes. Gary, have you heard it?
I have heard it, and I really appreciate it. How do those questions get to you?
Well, listen, you can message me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. But you can also comment on any post that I make, and I try to genuinely answer the questions as fast as I can, and they get posted 3 times a week as it is right now.
Beautiful. Ask a Black Belt. Check it out on your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome to Raw Radio.
Take 2. We are live.
And we're live.
Yeah,
Yes,
cameras
here we go.
are on.
Everything's going. All the red buttons are lit.
The YouTube guys would be upset if we didn't record this while my
Would
chair
they?
is squeaking.
All 3 of them?
So it's the interesting part about this show is that every time I said this before, but every time when we reach a great conversation, I have this feeling that we did it. Boom. There's not much more we can push the bar up.
So you're going to put it in a bag? Are we done? Turn everything off, go
That's
home?
not what I'm saying, but I'm saying that, it was a great conversation. How are we going to push this higher? How are we going to push the limit?
Well,
And then boom, Ken Flo shows up
Yes.
on the show, and the conversation is just mind-blowing.
Yes, absolutely. And, I said early on, or I don't think I said it. Did I say it on the air? I don't remember. But this was a dude that, when that first season of Tough came out, those first few seasons of Tough, I watched religiously. I watched them all.
Yep.
I picked who I liked, who I didn't. At that time in my life, I was, really, I think, becoming like an adult. So like all the BS that some of those guys would bring, all that drama, it was like, get this shit, this isn't the show that I want it to be with these guys.
Yeah.
I want these pros. I want these guys that are out there doing it for the right reasons. And Kenny was one of those guys where early on it was like, this dude, I rooted for him hard.
Yeah.
And Diego was a monster and a beast and everything you think an MMA fighter's supposed to be. But then even in our conversation today, no, I think Kenny is everything an MMA fighter is supposed to be.
He is everything that martial artist should be.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily MMA fighter.
Doesn't
right?
matter the discipline or
right.
the profession.
It's a martial artist, right? It goes beyond fighting, and he really gets really deep into this. And by the way, I was a little biased when a Tough One came out. I was rooting for Bonner.
Yeah, well, different weight divisions, right? So it didn't matter.
But the point, I think the big anchor point behind this conversation and conversation with Ken Flo was be curious. I mean, that came up several times throughout the conversation, throughout our chat. And what were your thoughts on being curious? Is that really the propeller to move one forward with acquiring the knowledge? Or could it be the hindrance of being distracted, being going in multiple directions, right? Being curious is such a dangerous state of mind.
Right. So I think, being curious is the desire maybe to learn something, right? To truly learn it. So you have to go into it with an open mind, but you have to go into it with with a purpose. I think everything needs a purpose in order for that curiosity to lead you in a direction where you're actually going to learn. You can, like you always say, get into that jiu-jitsu vortex, or you get distracted and, you're watching a comedian instead of, the techniques that you were looking for online within 10 minutes. You've moved on. So that curiosity, if you use the tools correctly, yes, it's a wonderful thing, and it'll propel you forward, and you will learn as you go, and you will absorb the information. But if you're using that tool in the wrong way and it's just this constant bombardment, then no.
Well, let me challenge you, as I always do, right? Devil's advocate, but in a sense, it's not even devil's advocate, because I'm actually, it is an important part. At which point do you determine if it's a distraction or you're gaining a knowledge?
You go in with it, go in with a purpose, and then ask yourself continually, like Kenny said, we don't listen to the episode. We don't like to give too much away, but he said multiple times, what's your purpose? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to learn? And ask yourself questions. Ask questions. So if you're just mindlessly watching things, you're going to see some cool stuff, and you're going to, oh, maybe I'll try that next time, or I'll do this next time. But is that feeding the purpose that you went into this avenue of, with your curiosity?
What if the purpose changes and midway?
Ask yourself those questions, and you'll have those answers. It's got to be purposeful in my eyes. So your curiosity killed the cat. Why? Because he went in, I'm thinking, head first, not with a purpose, right? And what's over that edge, I used to work in the veterinary field, and we would get high rises, they're called. They're cats that fell off the balcony or fell out the window, right?
How the hell the cat fell
because people leave the window open, or it's a screen that easily gets pushed out, or they leave the door open, before. And the cat goes out on the balcony.
I assume the cat didn't land on the four legs.
They do often, and but that doesn't mean they're okay. So you step out without purpose, without asking yourself the questions. The cat doesn't have the capability to stand on the railing on the 35th floor of the balcony and know what's going to happen when it falls off. We should go in saying, if I'm watching this video or I'm watching this instructional, is this feeding my purpose? And ask yourself those questions the entire time. And if you're being honest with yourself, you'll know. And you'll be able to change course.
So essentially what you're saying is a continuous reevaluation of the situation while we keep the goal in mind. Mm-hmm. And is this propelling us, moving us in the direction that we chose to go at the current time, surrounded by current circumstances?
Yes.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you find along the way it's not, well, then you change the direction. Yeah, you move the goalpost, or you change the goal entirely, whatever the case may be. But now you're informed, right? Your curiosity has led you on a path of education, because now you're informed. Instead of just, like I said, walking out on the balcony and leaning over the railing.
Let me spin this in a slightly different direction. Do you think that curiosity could lead you towards useless information? So would you ever find yourself in a point where whatever you learned, it's useless to you, or every knowledge could be powerful lesson, even though it's not applicable?
Well, if it's not, but can you store it for later use? Can you apply it somewhere else? Well, that depends on what you're looking at, right? If you go in looking for a specific technique that you want to develop, a specific skill on or off the mats, it doesn't matter. You go into it looking for those things, and you see things along the way that aren't really applicable. Was that me? Applicable in the moment. You can store those for future use. However, if it's nonsense, then it could be a distraction. Then it can start getting in the way. It's taking up. I'm at the stage in my life where if I learn something new, something else gets pushed out. I'm at that age. So what are you pushing out? What are you missing when you are watching that nonsense and letting your curiosity without information, without asking questions, reevaluating? What are you missing What are you pushing away when you go into it that way?
Yeah, I was recently actually reading somewhere interesting, and you literally nailed it just a moment ago, is where as we inquiring more information, the statement was something always gets pushed out. We discard something. It might be something very low priority, something that we don't care about, but we are always discarding something in order for us to make room to inquire new information. Older we get, more important information we keep. So we bring this awareness point. Well, from a conceptual perspective, more information we have, which means more things we want to keep within our minds. That's what they, refer to as wisdom or being smart or whatever you call it. But in order for you to continue educating yourself, you have to discard some information. You have to remove something. Excuse me. And then, if you look at it from that perspective, that really puts you in an open mind state, meaning I'm about to receive this. I want to learn something new. I'm exploring this. I'm experimenting with this. But that also means I have to be willing of letting go. I can't be stuck with these concepts continuously, because then I'm not able to receive. So it was interesting. Interesting read.
I don't know if we're talking about like you got a bunch of marbles in a bucket, and if you want to put a new one in, you got to take an old one out. Or if you're talking about being aware of what you're taking out. You know what I mean? If I'm receiving information about Spider Guard, do I need to throw out the stuff that is just some fancy thing on YouTube?
Why?
Do you know what I mean? Like literally, hey man, I got to get that out of my head, not think about that, not concentrate on that, not bring that out on the mat.
I think we're getting into trenches right now.
Right? It's
no, I get it.
It gets deep.
No, it gets really deep, right?
But this conversation we had today was deep, and I think that's why this takeaway is like this.
Yeah. No, and listen, but I think what's interesting about all of this, there was, I even found myself in a position where we inquire a new instruction or we watch a video, and not even jiu-jitsu related. Like I watch a lot of leadership videos and management videos and instructions in that concept. And in order for me to adopt a new thought, I really have to say, okay, this is different than what I know. Mm-hmm. That means I have to, in a way, be willing to discard what I've done up to this point for 43 years. I'm willing to get rid of this in order for me to adopt this new information on the same topic. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to replace it one-on-one. I'm not taking it in while the other one stays, because we can't do two things at the same time. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's just willingness to be open-minded enough where, you're willing to educate yourself, adopt it,
you have
make
to choose.
Changes.
You have to choose.
And you have to choose, right? And sometimes the new things that are coming in, not necessarily what you're keeping. This could be the thing that you're discarding.
Yeah. Well,
right?
And don't want to take it off on a tangent, but we were talking about like videos and YouTube and all that. So we get all this information daily, constantly, right? Our eyes are always looking at this stuff coming in. You have to choose if this is what you're going to put your stake into. Is this what you're going to believe? Is this what is going to influence your thought process?
Yeah.
And you have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
So that you don't head down paths that in a few years you're going to be like, oh man, I wasted all that time on whatever.
Yeah. This is literally a true story. This happened last night. I taught the classes. I'm sitting here in this chair. I changed. I'm wrapping things up, and I looked at my phone, and I opened my IG, and the first thing, the first video, the first thing that comes up on my mind is a really nice, cool choke. One of my favorites, but a slightly different version. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. I clicked on it. Boom. Okay. I'm going to save this because I don't want to look at it right now. And I clicked the save button. And then it scrolled up. And there's another choke video. So I was like, oh, scroll. Thankfully, 3 videos in, I'm like, okay, no. Stop this right now. Stop
it's funny.
Stop this right now. I'm not capable of doing
here
this
all night.
Right.
I've been thinking a lot about, and I know we're running out of time, but I've been thinking about lately a lot about motivation and discipline and how I need to bring more. Like motivation is cool. It's a little spark. It's like, oh, that was cool, and I want to be like that, or I want to do that. But now I need to put discipline in with that. So it's like, okay, and my discipline is this device goes down
Mm-hmm.
at a certain hour, and I'm not picking it back up.
Yeah.
You know, if there's an emergency,
What is that saying? Motivation will get you started, but without discipline, you will not make a step one, or something along those lines.
there's probably a million of them, right?
Yeah. I just actually heard this on Instagram.
Yeah. So I think, you know, it's
That's my weakness.
well, it does,
right?
right?
there.
I think the past few.
By
at
the
least,
way,
that
if
we've
you guys
done,
ever want to talk to me, just Instagram is probably.
yeah,
I'm just never
it's the
mind.
easiest way. What's that other podcast you're doing? How do they get those questions to you? But it's, you know, it's so yeah. Be curious, but be thoughtful in your curiosity.
Mhm.
You know, we talked about question everything, but ask the questions. Don't just be skeptical of everything, right? Trying to be smart here. I'm trying. Maybe by my 60th, when I get into my 7th decade, I'll figure stuff out. But yeah, be curious, but be smart about your curiosity.
End of the day, listen, we all have expiration dates. At some point, we all shut down. At some point, you know, we'll be no more. The legacy left behind will really serve to be remembered by whatever we've done. And in order for us to do anything, we need to be selective about time and where we putting our minds in and how we devoting our time. So don't waste your time.
There you go.
There's not enough time. Don't waste.
Nope.
Don't waste it. Be smart. Be purposeful.
That's right. And listen to this. Don't waste. This is not a waste of time. Keep listening.
You heard from the smart man right there.
That's right.
All right.
We
On
done?
to the next one.
All
Yeah.
right.
Let's
Yes.
wrap it up. Later.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Raw Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.